disturbances in Jammu and Kashmir.
The key question is one raised by the opposition in the valley. Is it too late for the mainstream parties to be able to make a difference, or has separatist sentiment now taken over?
At this point of time, we don't see any space left for the mainstream politicians to go out, because nobody is going to listen to us at this point of time.
In the meantime, a new generation of young men and women, hardened, angry, alienated, seem ready to defy the curfew and even die. They should be the real worry for New Delhi.
Kashmir has now been under curfew and strikes for nearly 2 months. Ordinary Kashmiri trapped between the battle lines, hoping that someone can break this cycle of violence. In Srinagar with cameraman Sheikh Tariq and Amir, Nazir Masoodi for NDTV.
So how can the cycle of violence be broken? Is it time to look at some out-of-the-box solutions? For example, a special envoy for Kashmir. Let's get straight into our debate this evening. We're very privileged to have with us somebody who's a veteran of Kashmir politics, in fact politics in general, the former Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, Minister in the Union Government, Farooq Abdullah. People are saying this is the worst we've seen in 2 decades. Is it?
Our tragedy is that people forget the past. I think they have forgotten the conditions that were in our state from 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95. Have they forgotten that? Have they forgotten how many people died on the day that the coffin of Maulana Farooq was taken out? How many died in that firing? Have they forgotten when the new governor took over, when I left, how many died on that one day in the city? They forget all this.
But isn't
it's very easy to say the worst condition is today. Yes, there are tragedies that we face, but are they going to solve the problem by doing this thing? I tell them, the leaders who are behind this, by killing the youth, by putting them in the streets with the stones, is Azadi going to come? What sort of Azadi are they wanting? They burn property of the state, which is their property, which is property from their taxes. Who's going to build them back again? How would they like if their house burnt and they had to pay for it?
But is it your argument that the security forces are doing nothing wrong, that this is not in some ways a failure of governance?
It is not the question of security forces are not doing something wrong. What will they do? You attack the police station, you burn that. They will see the burning of the police station. They will see the burning of the railway station. They will see the government property being burnt and do nothing. How can you have this thing? That on one side, you burn the place and then you say to security forces, you don't do anything.
Are you saying no mistakes?
Maximum restraint has been shown by them.
Are you saying no mistakes have been made by the government in power today?
Let me tell you, is anybody without mistakes? Promises are made. Dialogues are taken. Dialogue does not reach to a conclusion. All the promises that are made to them do not get through. Where will it lead to us?
You mean New Delhi? You mean New Delhi doesn't act on these proposals?
Our own people, the dialogues were held.
Yeah.
Very rare, Chief. They're so scared now to talk because they don't know whether anything will come out of their talk. First of all, we must make up our mind, what are we going to talk about? And they must make their mind up as to what do they want. Because there is no question of Azadi. Whatever is possible will be possible within the Constitution of India. There is no way anyone in India is going to go beyond that. So what are you gaining?
I want to ask you something. I remember when the so-called sex scandal erupted and Omar Abdullah, your son, walked out of the assembly. Later on this program, he said that you had scolded him in a manner that he had not been scolded since he was 6 years old. Have you had that kind of talking to with him? I know you're smiling, but I want to know, I think the people of this country want to know, as a father, where do you think he's gone wrong? Because clearly something has gone wrong.
You see, it is not his wrong. Let's not blame the poor fellow that everything is his wrong, his mistakes. It's not so. There are boys unemployed in Jammu, Kashmir and Ladakh, all the three places. What avenues have they got? You create an organization which is going to give them a job. The stringent conditions put in that do not bring majority of the people into it. So the boys lose that faith that we are going to get something. We're going to be employed.
But
So that is one angle.
people have called.
Look, one angle. Secondly, what adds to this is, let us be frank about it, it's a political problem as far as Kashmir is concerned. It's not only a development project. You talk to Pakistan. Now, every time you talk to Pakistan, we have hope that finally Pakistan and India will agree to a settlement which will be accepted to both people of India, people of Pakistan and the people of Jammu and Kashmir, that finally this damn thing will be out of the way. What happened? Prime Minister had a lovely meeting in Sharm el Sheikh, had unfortunate effects here. Next round started. The round was very good when Chitambram went. It was very nicely, whatever he had
And then
to say.
Krishna goes and it's a disaster.
However, the foreign minister went. Unfortunately, in that foreign ministers meeting, the end result was they may have agreed on a number of factors, many number of things they might have agreed, but what emerged at the end of the day was that it was a bitter thing. The Prime Minister from there speaking all sorts of things, that he was on the phone.
But isn't it
Bitter.
peculiar that there can be a dialogue with Islamabad that is uninterruptible, but no dialogue within the valley that is uninterruptible with anybody, not even with you?
Not the question, the point is they are ready to talk. But when the others are afraid to talk because they're afraid they'll be eliminated,
You mean the
like
Secretary
Rome was eliminated,
Yeah.
like Maulana Farooq was eliminated, they're afraid that, and that Fazala Qureshi nearly with
Nearly died.
great difficulty survived. It's not a small matter. So you have to find ways of talking, but at the same time, state has to produce mechanism of law and order, because it's unfortunate that people, majority of the people are suffering in their homes.
Okay.
Their children's education is suffering.
Okay, now is it your suggestion, and I'm going to take this to the rest of the panel and then come back, that everybody just brazils this out, you restore law and order and then look at a political initiative? Today we had L.K. Advani getting up and asking the government what it was doing in Parliament. Let me take the same question to Arun Jaitley and Abhishek Singhvi. Arun Jaitley, what would be the BJP's prescription? Because part of the problem is that there is no national consensus on a solution for Kashmir, even though it was Atal Bihari Vajpayee who first went to the valley and said, इंसानियत के दायरे में जो भी मुमकिन है वो कश्मीरियों को दिया जाए.
But I don't think this government has any strategy or any thinking on how to handle the Kashmir situation. For one, it's a culmination of monumental blunders which the Congress party, right since independence, has been committing. You keep a hope alive that there is an Azadi in foreseeable future, you will find incidents of this kind. You try and pander to the separatists, you will find a situation of this kind. Just analyze that in the last 63 years, this whole thought of a separate status has today evolved towards separatism. And what does the Prime Minister do? On one visit, he feels that just having a roundtable conference is enough. A disastrous report advocating autonomy is produced out of that, and that's produced fraudulently. And then suddenly, you have a thought that, well, now silent diplomacy is the answer. Nobody has understood what kind of diplomacy is this if it has resulted in this. And you have those across the border who've significantly changed their strategy. Pakistan has obviously realized that the global appetite for insurgency and terrorism is not there. And therefore, if cross-border terrorism and incidents of insurgency take place, the world doesn't support them. So they resorted to mass action. And in mass action, you have a completely indifferent state government. You have a chief minister who is losing his rapport with the people. And therefore, the situation is spiraling out of control. I think the Congress needs to look inside that its entire thought process on Kashmir, you walk with PDP for 6 years, you walk with NC for the balance period, and then you suddenly find everybody in the same rhythm saying the Armed Forces Special Tribunal Act, Forces Act should be repealed. Now this kind of a thought won't do. A message loud and clear must go to everyone in Jammu and Kashmir that Kashmir is an integral part of India. Its unification with India is total. 3, you have to handle masses through developmental activity, you have to handle them with various kinds of measures, but it seems that they've suddenly lost control.
All right.
And therefore I think this is a clueless government when it comes to Kashmir.
Clueless government. Before I take that to Abhishek Singhvi, Farooq Abdullah to the charge, and it's being made again and again, that Omar Abdullah has lost touch with the people, that he's an isolated chief minister, that he doesn't go out and meet people, that he doesn't even talk to his own party. What would be
I think it's
your fatherly advice to him?
absolutely wrong.
He has a very different style of functioning from you,
Yeah,
for example.
That's a different matter. Farooq Abdullah is different, you are different, she is different, we are all different. Arun Jaitley is different. Point here is, first of all, I want to tell Arun Jaitley, we don't believe that we are not an integral part of India. Let's be very clear about it. We are an integral part of India. There is no two ways about it. We had an autonomy which has been eroded. What is wrong if that autonomy is discussed and things that can be done should be done, so that at least people will feel that our honor within the country has been
But it's the
renovated.
Congress
So
that
hold
has to
on,
discuss
this is one
it.
point. Hasn't it, even in their time, they just threw it out of the window without even looking at it. The point here is saying that he's cut off. No, he does meet people. He went to the places. Don't blame just because you're in opposition, you're blaming Congress, that Congress does this thing wrong, this thing. No. After all, they're also a national party. They also think of the nation. They don't think only of one state. And therefore, thinking of the nation, they are thinking of Kashmir also, that we have to strengthen Kashmir, we have to strengthen democratic processes in Kashmir, and that is what being done.
So you're saying that even an autonomy proposal, and if I'm not wrong, it's actually been on hold for a decade. I mean,
Yes,
I remember
it
the
is.
time you were taking it all around India trying to pitch it. 10 years, India doesn't even discuss an autonomy proposal. Abhishek Singhvi, the Prime Minister makes a visit to Kashmir, virtually says nothing, doesn't even have a press conference. I have to say, to me it seems that part of the problem is that Delhi doesn't get it.
Barkha, I've been listening patiently for a rather long time. I haven't heard all of what is said because the audio is extremely bad, except your voice is clear. I want to just say this. First of all, I think it's very unfair. Just like one swallow does not make a summer, merely because there are serious and matters of great concern as far as disturbances are concerned for the last few weeks, doesn't make Omar Abdullah a hopeless or a bad chief minister. It was the same election, the same government, the same chief minister, which was looking pretty appealing and effective and efficient till a few months ago. Just because there are disturbances, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I think we have to keep a balance and a sense of perspective. This is an unfortunate time for the young Omar to come across. It's an unfortunate time for the valley. But you cannot wipe out what has happened in Kashmir in the last few years. And I say last few years, where several indicia of normalcy have been found.
But Abhishek, isn't this part of the problem? Isn't this part of the problem? Isn't this, I'm sorry, but this is the thing that really gets me. Isn't it part of the problem that you all keep measuring normalcy in terms of how many tourists you get to a place? The tourists come, then the snows melt, the infiltration starts again, the violence starts again, and we're back to the same cycle of stasis. Go ahead.
You will appreciate, Barkha, that you've had a long chat with Mr. Farooq Abdullah and even longer one with Arun Jaitley. Give me a few minutes. I said several indicia, including tourism. Of course it's an index, because people's confidence is reflected in that. I was coming to the other indicia. A dramatic decline in killings. What else? How else will you measure Kashmir? A growth package or a economic package never before given in history, which this government, the UPA 1 and UPA 2 have given. talks of every kind at every level, certain so-called separatists or Harriet people even contesting elections a first time. Now these are index of normalcy. Now just because you had this terrible aberration, the only point I'm making, people are forgetting that in a few weeks. I am not underestimating or underemphasizing the seriousness of what has happened. It's a matter of grave concern. But it's not going to be helped by throwing the baby out of the bathwater, nor is it going to be helped by political recrimination and acrimony of the kind I just heard.
Okay.
So I could go on and on about ceasefire, Kargil, and then ceasefire, and then talk. That doesn't help.
And let's not go down that road.
Tell me a concrete. Tell me, yes.
Okay.
Tell me the concrete.
I have a proposal. I have a proposal for Abhishek Singhvi
on every issue.
Small proposal. Forget the big ones. And go to Radha Kumar and Sonia Jabar with the same idea in just a minute. Why haven't we heard from the Prime Minister on what he thinks about Kashmir? Why in this moment of crisis can the Prime Minister not go on to national television and talk to the people of Kashmir? Everybody goes on and on about Kashmir being an integral part of India. How do we make the Kashmiris feel that? Maybe by their Prime Minister talking to them directly.
Are you asking me?
Yes, if you want to respect that, and then I'll take it to the others.
Yes. I think you are ignoring the fact that the Prime Minister has spoken to the people of Kashmir when he visited Kashmir recently. It doesn't mean that he has to speak in the way in which we want or the press wants. So what if we didn't have a press conference? It would be ridiculous to suggest that unless the Prime Minister has a press conference and Kashmir is not speaking to the Kashmiris. He spoke at the university. Prior to that in UPA 1, he had the largest ever package ever in India, independent India, for Kashmir.
Okay.
He went twice earlier. So what else do you want?
What else?
Not that. These are excuses. And let me tell you one more thing. You cannot and should not, and I am not suggesting that this is a Pakistan-inspired thing only. I am agreeing that you need to reach out to your own people and there is domestic discontent. But please do not eliminate the role of Pakistan altogether. There is certainly a pocket out there which is morally and in any other way supported all the time by Pakistan.
All right, so you believe that my little solution of the Prime Minister speaking directly to the people is neither here nor there. Radha Kumar, if I can hear from you, and then I want to hear what Farooq Abdullah thinks as well. Lots of things are being bandied about. Governor's rule. Today there were rumors of governor's rule across Delhi. Farooq Saab, would that be a good idea?
We have tried these governor's rules also.
Doesn't work?
In 1984 they also had governor's rule.
Yeah.
They had in 90 also governor's rule, which lasted 6 years. What did it get us to? Let's not talk of these things. Governor's rule is links.
So let me put another...
It's a democratic country. You don't have governor's rule.
Okay, so that's, you ruled that out. Let me put another specific proposal on the table. An envoy, a political face who can create an internal dialogue between New Delhi and Jammu and Kashmir, with the National Conference, with the PDP, with the Hurriyat.
I think that it would be very helpful to have someone who is in charge of a sustained, ongoing peace initiative. Our problem has been that we haven't had a person of that order. We have had, the Prime Minister has taken a lot of very direct interest, and I would agree that possibly the time is coming that he should speak, but it is right that he had to wait first for the Chief Minister to speak to his people, which is what the Chief Minister has done. Now there can be a consideration of whether that needs to be followed up. In any case, yes, an envoy, a person who can follow day to day to day what the situation is, what the kinds of talks are that are required. There is a back channel, we know, to the Hurriyat and other groups, and that back channel should continue in my belief.
Yeah.
And several other possible tracks will have to be opened now. Security, there's no question, will have to be improved. Unguarded government buildings at this point in time may not be the best way to go. So there needs to be a lot of thinking on how that has to improve. Civil society has to be much more active than they have been.
But you're saying yes philosophically to the idea of a political envoy. Farooq Abdullah, would your party support such a proposal?
I can't understand, what is he going to do?
Talk. Nobody talks.
Who is he going to talk?
To all of you.
Look, we're already talking.
Your
National
MPs
Conference,
and MLAs, Delhi doesn't even talk to us.
National Conference is talking. Congress is talking. PDP had been given opportunity to talk to the Prime Minister. They didn't talk. They didn't come to the meeting. The Prime Minister is not going to beg them and say, here, please come. It's for them to realize that Prime Minister is not a beggar. He's offered talks. He told them. But the tragedy with PDP is they don't believe in talk. They have lost power, and for gaining that power, they'll burn the whole state if they can help it.
So you're saying...
frankly. Now let me be very frank about it. I'm not hiding it. And they should know, and because they must be listening to me. And they are not going to get power till they go to the people in 4.5 years. Now the question is, if they want to burn the state, they'll burn with it. Let them be clear about it. It's not going to burn without them. Question today is, you say you want to put somebody there. Although she also said there are certain back channels working. They're doing it much better way because nobody knows about them. The minute they are known, nobody's going to talk. When you have a man who's there and they know he's talking, many of these people who want to talk will go under the ground. So let us not think that there will be somebody we'll place and he will make miracles. There's no such miracles.
But then how do you create a visible impression? I'll just come to you, Radha, in a second. I just want to get Sonia Jabbar in as well. Sonia, you're in Srinagar. If back channels need to be quiet, as Farooq Abdullah says, if Omar Abdullah needs to be given more space, as Farooq Abdullah says, and if law and order is to be the priority, how do you create a visible impression of justice? I'm not saying azadi, I'm saying justice.
Barka, I think a lot of people have talked about the bigger picture and India and Pakistan talks and talks with the separatists, etc. But let's focus on what exactly is the present problem. There are a lot of kids who are angry, who have come out on the streets and they've gotten killed, they've gotten shot. This has been happening since 2008. We've seen this happen every single year. Now, since 1995, the police has been trained as an ace counterinsurgency force. Now, since 2008, we're expecting them to do riot control without any training in riot control. I think there's a big problem there. So, you have a force that's dealing with an anarchical crowd and they just don't have the means to do it. And that is your first problem. Barka.
And I think the problem also, as Omar Abdullah said today, is that this is a largely leaderless set of protests. I just want to go back to Arun Jaitley for a moment. It's well known that the BJP has a very divergent view from many other parties on Kashmir, but the left has proposed an all-party delegation to the valley. Would you consider being part of this delegation?
We can try all those measures, but unless the government is clear about the big picture, and the big picture is integrate the state into India, don't loosen its relationship any further.
Okay, but Arun Jaitley, Farooq Abdullah says governor's rule won't work. Will we see the BJP accepting that formulation, or will you be pushing for a change in a sense within the state?
Well, I think that's an assessment which the centre has to make.
So what is the assessment of the centre? Abhishek Singhvi, quick word from you before I come back to Farooq Abdullah. What is the big picture, as Arun Jaitley asks? Interestingly, we have seen the entire focus of this crisis almost, completely on Omar Abdullah. I come back to the point that, we haven't seen, for example, the Prime Minister making a visit. Why not make a visit right now?
When there is an element of fire in your house, you have to deal with that situation. You don't do things like trips. You don't go around trying to change the structure of governance by having governor's rule. You have to deal with that, and dealing with that must necessarily involve reaching out. The Chief Minister and indeed each and every one of his cabinet colleagues and many MLAs must reach out by actually coming out and meeting people and dealing with them, coupled with clear message that stern action has to be taken if people indulge in taking lives or vandalizing property, coupled with growth packages, economic packages. It has to be a multi-pronged approach. I think to the extent possible it's already being done, but the reaching out part, more is to be done. But if people think that in the guise of reaching out, they can demoralize the forces or have removals of forces in areas where forces have to be there, or otherwise create a problem, well then that can't be allowed to succeed either, because there are people there who have ulterior motives, ulterior strategies and plans.
Okay, Radha, if I can ask you and then to Farooq Saab, do you sense a denial in Delhi? Because even when the Home Minister spoke earlier, he spoke about the Lashkar-e-Taiba creating problems in pockets like Sopore. Then you had the Home Secretary go when the army was first called in and talk about a crackdown. Once again, we're hearing the language of a crackdown. Everybody is acknowledging that it's a political problem with a political solution, but we're still talking the language of a crackdown. Is that correct?
Maybe a little harsh. I do agree that there has been a very up and down policy from New Delhi. Just in the last month, one thing one day, something else the other day, and that there has not been an accurate analysis of the gravity of the situation or an anticipation of what was going to happen, which could have been anticipated. Having said that, it seems to me that a government is taking note. Certainly we've heard a great deal from the Chief Minister himself on how grave the situation is. Now the question is, how quickly can the various tracks be mobilized so as to deal with this the way it needs to be dealt with? And there are two elements here. One element is the lost generation, which is these lumpen youths with iron bars, really very ugly pictures.
Yeah.
And the other is the political aspiration of the state for a political settlement of this long-standing issue of status, as Minister Abdullah says.
Farooq Abdullah, there's been a lot of focus on you. People said, oh, you know, why isn't Farooq Abdullah more involved? Why was Farooq Abdullah in London when the crisis was happening?
What was I in London for? After all, there is a chief minister, there is a government there. I'm not a super chief minister or something. It's his job, not my job. I can only advise. It's his job to carry that out. But one thing I'd like to ask Madam Jabbar, she said about the youth. I'd like to ask her, what does that youth want? After all, if they are there on the street, and she must have spoken to them, what do they want? Let her tell, or on your television, to the rest of the country, what do they want? Do they want secession from India?
Sonia, go ahead. What do the young people on the street want?
Some of them do, but that's not the point I'm making.
What are you making then?
I'm saying that your response cannot be to shoot them.
What are they wanting?
That cannot be your only response.
For God's sake, tell me, you are on the television for the rest of India.
You have had since 2008, you have had
we want to know, what do they want?
You have got a pattern of resistance that's happening, and your response is not appropriate.
What is my response should be? What should be my response? To see my station burn? To see my home burn? To see my police station burn? To see my people hurt? To see my schools closed? To see my children suffering in their homes without any food? People who can't work and they are selling their...
But can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question? Let me ask a question.
I want to ask her because she's there.
I will go back to her, but I was also there and I met the family of Tufail Mattu. You know the Tufail Mattu story. A tear gas burst open his head. He was a boy who was returning from tuition. He was not a stone pelter. He wasn't a protester. The simple question is, do our security forces not need to learn new methods to handle crowds? Did that boy deserve to die?
Who says no?
But that was the only point.
That was the thing. We should have a force that is trained to meet such eventualities. But that force has not been trained.
Pattern happening since 2008.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt both of you. We've been talking so much about the Hurriyat. Farooq Abdullah has made the point that dialogue has to remain in the track 2 level, because anyone who has tried to conduct a dialogue with Delhi, their lives have come under attack.
Yes.
Abdul Ghani Lone, Fazil Haq Qureshi, who mediated the first round of talks with the Hizb. Mirwais Omar Farooq is on the line with us. Mirwais Omar Farooq, when we last spoke, you said you were not interested in peace, you were interested in a solution. But do you not believe that as a responsible political leader of Kashmir and a religious leader, it is also your responsibility, sir, to bring back some semblance of non-violence on the streets of the valley?
Well, Barkha, I mean, you're talking about responsible leadership, and I'm sorry to say that you have many responsible leaders right now sitting in your studio who don't have a single word of solace for the 40 families who have lost their kith and kins. I mean, it's so sad that Mr. Farooq Abdullah didn't even utter a word about the fact that 40 innocent boys have been killed in the last 1 week. And why have they been killed? They have been killed because people of Kashmir believe that New Delhi is not sincere. They are not serious about resolution of Kashmir issue. And again, the sad part is again and again you are barking on the wrong tree. The fact is that it's not about administration. It's not about Umar Abdullah. It's not about the governance. It's basically a political problem. And as you rightly said, that yes, Hurriyat Conference believes, and we took the initiative. And remember, in 2006, 2007, I mean, we risked our lives. We started a dialogue with Delhi. But what happened? Delhi has always tried to buy time and procrastinate the issue. I mean, people do ask us the questions that, Hurriyat went to Delhi, we went with suggestions. What happened? None of the suggestions was even heeded by New Delhi. I mean, the fact is that did the killing stop in Kashmir? Did the basic rights of people...
Can I ask you a question, Mirwais Omar Farooq? Why did you stop talking to Home Minister P. Chidambaram?
Well, first of all, when the dialogue process started in 2006, 2007, it was an understanding at that time, especially with the government of NDA, when Mr. Vajpayee initiated the process, that it's going to be a triangular process, that India is going to talk to Pakistan, India is going to talk to Kashmiris, and Kashmiris are going to talk to India. All the three parties have to be involved in the process. But, I mean, we are sorry to say that after that, New Delhi completely changed track.
But Omar sir, you have been in back channel talks with Mr. Chidambaram. Why did that dialogue collapse? Did it not collapse because of the attack on Fazil Haq Qureshi? Isn't it also true that all of you are under attack from the extremists? The dialogue is very, very difficult, that the government keeps making offers for a dialogue and nobody is willing to bite that offer, take up that offer, bite the bait as it were.
Well, the fact remains that, as I said, that Hurriyat Conference has always been, we have stood for meaningful dialogue for the resolution of Kashmir issue. But the fact is that even on back channels, in 2007, 2008, we have given suggestions, we have given proposals to Government of India to understand the issue. But the problem is that, today they have completely, I mean, the credibility of the dialogue process has been completely destroyed because New Delhi is not ready to come forward and address the issue. And, let's be very honest, what is the issue? The issue is that Kashmir is a political problem. It's an issue of self-determination. It's a dispute. It's a conflict. You have international resolutions. You have 23 resolutions in the United Nations asking for a settlement of Kashmir. I mean, you need to address that aspect.
So very quickly, if New Delhi, and we've got Abhishek Singhvi with us, if the government here were to make an offer to you to say, please come to the dialogue table, would you come at this point, Omar Saab?
I mean, if you ask me right now, dialogue is a far-fetched thing right now, Barkha. I mean, the fact is that innocent people are being killed, and you are sending troops. You are sending troops to consolidate the position of the Indian Authority in Kashmir. Already we have been asking a reduction of troops. We have been asking about demilitarization. We have been asking about repealing of the black laws. And New Delhi is answering, we're sending more troops and rapid action force and more army, and then you're telling the Hurriyat and come and talk.
Okay, let's leave it there. Thank you very much, Mirwais Omar Farooq. I'm going to take last comments now. Abhishek Singhvi, here's another proposal. You said make specific proposals. Your Home Minister, your Prime Minister are in favor of amending the Armed Forces Special Powers Act. The Ministry of Defence says no. That file has been sitting on hold for months. What should we make of that, Abhishek Singhvi?
I have no basis for saying that there has been a decision by A and B about X and about C and D by C and D about Y. But let me tell you that ultimately the Government of India decides as one unit. The decision which comes out is one. And that is the decision of the Government of India even assuming the differences behind it in the cabinet, that doesn't make any difference. They decide ultimately unanimously. Now today, what is the Government of India's decision? The Government of India is fully open to talks with anybody. I will support to death the right of the Hurriyat gentleman there or any other Hurriyat member to protest, to disagree. But equally, I can never support them in them not entering the mainstream, not fighting elections, except Mr. Lone did once this time, in not participating, in not coming to talks. The Prime Minister has said more than once, not now, many times, that everything short of succession away from India, short of totally unconstitutional things, everything is open. Please come to the table, involve,
but the
talk.
fact is that
now you can't do more than that. That's the hallmark of a good democracy.
Actually, a good democracy and a good leader finds solutions to stalemates. It doesn't say we can't do more than that. Farooq Abdullah, last word to you. Was your response inappropriate? You are a master politician and you're a very experienced leader. Should you not also be expressing empathy for innocent people who get killed? I give you the example of Supreme Court too, but you haven't spoken about it.
Farooq is not right. I have spoken more than once for the innocent people dying. My son has instituted inquiries, so much so, there are people against him who are feeling that he is trying to put the force in the corner, but he is telling them all the time, please restrain, use every other method, don't kill if it is not necessary.
But talking about inquiries, do you remember as Chief Minister, you instituted an inquiry into the Patribal killings?
Yes.
Do you know that a decade later, the Ministry of Defence has not sanctioned the prosecution of the officers in that case? Aren't these things that we can move on?
Oh, please, for God's sake, I got the inquiry done. I got the judge also, which was sent by the centre. It's not that we got a very good judge. He gave a thing. Now, if they haven't taken action, because I'm not sitting in the chair, so I do not know, that they will have to look into, because these are the grievances of the people.
So quickly, what do you want to see happening
I
next time at the
think
end of
what we
time?
must do is, if we have to heal the wounds, then we must take action, remembering this thing, that we must be, whereas we use law and order to keep it strong, that we can't allow normal people to be harassed by few.
Are we going to see you playing a more active role?
I'm playing active role at all places, but let's be clear about one thing, that first we must have peace before we can get on to next thing. Nothing can be done unless we achieve peace. Not Maulvi Farooq will not come to talk because there is no peace. Let us achieve peace. Let him also give his people an advice that please don't do these things. Let us take another chance. After all, why do you want to kill people when you want to find a solution? Let us find solution without killing, without throwing stones. Let us give a chance again. Here entire India is waking up today, wanting that if some things haven't been done in the past, we will have another approach. We have spoken to Pakistan so many times talked failed, but we went on talking, and again we will talk. It is only by talking we will find a solution, not by thinking we will have a war or we will have some other method. It's only by talking. All these leaders must give their time at this time to produce that condition that we can talk.
Well, I think we'll end with the thought that if peace does return, if the situation does get restored,
it will return, not as if. In my vocabulary, there is nothing like if. It will return to normal. These leaders will have to come out of their shell and tell people that this is only going to destroy our future.
Well, I was going to say, let's say when it returns, Delhi doesn't go into complacency, and we leave it with that thought. Radha Kumar, Farooq Abdullah, Sonia Jabbar, Arun Jaitley, Abhishek Singhvi, Mirbaz Omar Farooq, thank you for your time. On the Buck Stops here tonight, we will take a quick break, and then the other story dominating the headlines, corruption and the Commonwealth Games. That's coming.